If you ever wondered what a hybrid cross between Nioh and Sekiro would be, yet was much more accessible to more players, a variety of skill levels, and still gave greatly designed boss battles, letting you explore diverse areas, and giving you a simplified way of executing combo attacks to land cool and quick visceral moves, well, you'd end up with Wulong. Team Ninja's version of the Three Kingdoms brings to life lots of lovable and cool characters you'll meet throughout the story, but the more simplified combat approach comes at the cost of a rather shallow combat loop, and all is made worse by unfortunately repetitive enemy encounters. I am Puar, and this is my review of Wulong Fallen Dynasty. In Wulong, you take the role of a random militia soldier thrown in between the Battle of the Three Kingdoms set in China during the Later Han Dynasty, as you attempt to stop an evil villain that seeks to spread what's known as the Elixir, an item that gives the person demonic chi, throughout the story amongst the key figures and events that take place. Throughout your adventure, you'll come across war-torn villages, jungles teeming with soldiers and monsters, a peaceful hub-town village, and many more historic locations in the China set piece, making for a diverse array of locations to keep the game fresh. It's a story of bonds and a story of betrayal, all told in similar fashion to Team Ninja's Nioh games, with high quality cutscenes that make your character look good. Like Nioh 2 and Wild Hearts, the game sports an amazing character creator with a variety of options for the player to express themselves in full, and it even has the booba slider, and they went even further beyond with physics.
Gentlemen.
Also, Lu Bu is epic in this game. Look forward to his appearance in it. But after a total of 35 hours, I was able to beat the main story and most side missions for the first playthrough, so expect a 30 to 45 hour playtime on average. But like Nioh 2 or other Souls-like games, there is a New Game Plus version of the campaign, with harder missions and enemies, with even better loot to give you lots of content to enjoy, should you seek it. And if you ever need help, the game provides a plethora of NPC teammates you can summon to fight alongside you and practically forces them on you every main mission, and you'd want to bring them on missions to level up their bonds, as reaching level 10 gets you their full unique armor set and weapon at 4-star rarity. Pretty sick. You also have the option to go online and play with real friends via 3-player co-op. The game also sports an invasion system similar to Dark Souls, though I never got invaded during my review time, so I can't comment how that will play out. But as far as combat goes, it is a more streamlined action game compared to the complex and hard to master Nioh series, opting for a mere 2 and 2 button attack system of basic light attacks, a strong attack, and then 2 available skills per weapon, which vary weapon to weapon. But it also emphasizes a parry mechanic, much like Sekiro, called Deflect, allowing you to brush off enemy attacks to safely avoid them and build your spirit meter while also lowering the enemy spirit too. Enemies all have red critical blow-like attacks, which cannot be guarded, but if deflected, the player counters the attack and does huge spirit damage to the enemy's spirit meter, which once drained, allow for a powerful critical attack taking huge chunks off the enemy's life. Overall, Spirit Meter replaces the standard stamina system used in most action games as the new resource for attacks, dodging, parrying, and even wizardry spells. That's right, spells of the 5 virtue elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water all provide a vast array of damage and tools the player can mix and match throughout their adventure. And the game has a free infinite respec shortly after starting the game, letting players never feel locked to a particular stat spread or build. And if melee combat is what you want, the game has you covered with 13 or so available weapon types to choose from, although it feels like half of that number, as half of them share similarities between 2 or more types, and in the end you're kind of just pressing square or triangle all the time. But like Nioh or Stranger Paradise, you do have a loot system with the ability to find various armors and weapons of various grades and have the option to customize your stats at the blacksmith, perfecting a gear piece quite easily even in your first playthrough. And for those curious about the loot system being supposedly simplified, I hate to inform you that it's not really the case. As you can see, you get a ton of loot. The only simplification that was done compared to Nioh 2 is that max weapon level is +9, and there's only 5 rarity tiers, with the 5th unlocked in New Game Plus. Weapons upgrade similar to the Soul series now, and you don't have to do the whole soul matching thing, which is definitely a plus in my opinion. But back to combat. How you juggle between standard attacks to build meter, to blocking or deflecting attacks, to then using spells or your weapon arts, or the guardian spirits you can summon to change the tide of battle, while not as deep as Nioh, it still all leads to quite the fun experience for at least the bosses. By far, the weakest link in Wulong's Chinese armor is the enemy variety. Nioh 1's poor enemy variety rears its ugly head again, resulting in you facing nearly all the enemies you'll face throughout the 7 chapters of the main story by chapter 2 or 3. Zombie soldiers, tigers, big Shrek mutant guys, mermaids, and the standard Chinese soldiers are in every chapter, repeated several times per mission. In other words, there's only like 10 enemies in the game. Where Nioh 2 was able to improve that aspect over Nioh 1, and in the midst of the giant that is Elden Ring existing, it's embarrassing that the enemy count was this low for Wulong, and it snowballs downward due to the combat system. The combat loop really suffers from the poor enemy variety, leading every encounter feeling the same, spamming only light attacks or simply waiting for a critical blow to deflect and 1 to 2 shot the same 10 enemies 6 chapters in a row. If it wasn't for the bosses and magic, I would say the combat took a very wrong turn from what Team Ninja found success in with Nioh. That isn't all though, the parry system has a fault in play as well. Basically, you'll find it very hard to deal any meaningful damage or spirit damage without deflecting a critical blow first. Countering a critical blow deals so much damage that it makes everything else almost irrelevant. This is made even worse when the deflect system, the main focus of the game if you will, cannot cancel any of your animations. It can shorten the tail end of the animations a bit, but never cancel completely. This leads to many of the martial arts skills, the only thing you can do aside light attacks, in a very bad position, as they will have rather long animations and recovery windows, causing enemy attacks or critical blows to punish you greatly. Spells are ironically better for the most part in the fights over what you should spend your spirit gauge on. But not even spells are safe. Enter the morale system. Another limiter that inhibits your ability to express the martial artist within you. This system is a flag system that encourages you to explore each map to plant flags that raise your morale. Defeating strong enemies also raises your morale, but you can lose morale when you die, and how far you can drop back down depends on how many flags you found in the map. So morale affects the difficulty of the game essentially, and maxes at rank 25, and you start with 0 in most missions. The lower your morale rank, the greater damage you will take, and less damage you will deal. But if your morale is higher than the enemies, then you gain the upper hand. But this just limits the player's ability to be power at the start of every map, and you can't even use certain spells till you reach a certain morale rank per map. So even if you wanted to become a pure mage spellcaster, your options are limited till you get more flags. And you're still just limited to just 4 spell slots total, which is a downgrade from Nioh's Omnio system that gave you around 8 to 16 slots total, with each having their own use limit instead of solely tied to spirit gauge, where you can only get so many spells off. It's not as if this is an open world game for the need to encourage exploration. The maps are literally in the same nature as Nioh 2's, and most items in the map are junk 2 to 3 star gear or consumables. Although, the jump button does make the traversing better than Nioh games, but that's a good feature that expands your way of playing, allowing you to sneak around and do visceral jump attacks. The morale system does nothing. So for the verdict, I rate Wulong Fallen Dynasty an 8 out of 10. For fans of the Three Kingdoms, I think you'll enjoy the story told by Team Ninja, the characters are wonderful, and I think some people will like the more streamlined take on the action genre, while others will just wish they made Nioh 3. Performance-wise, with Day 0 patch, there were plenty of FPS drops even on FPS mode on PS5, which ran at 1080p I believe, so it wasn't a total smooth experience like Nioh 2 was, although I'm sure they'll iron that out, but graphically a lot of the levels, particularly inside areas, looked exactly like Nioh 2 quality, so visual department was still lacking. With that said though, I still had fun and I think most action fans can find good in the game, it just doesn't surpass what is currently on the market. If you enjoy the review, make sure to leave a like and comment down below your thoughts on the game. Do you agree with my take or not? Let me know. And for more Wulong guides and builds to come, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more Wulong epicness. Yeah.